If there is one thing that I can say about Dark Souls 3, is that the boss fights stand above any other game to me. Each boss has his or her own style, music, and personality. Mixed with the amazing combat system of Dark Souls, it is one major reason this series has been so successful. So today I'm going to share my top 5 favorite bosses within Dark Souls 3. This is obviously 100% opinionated, and I am not super educated with the lore. Therefore, I am purely basing my decision on the look of the boss, the enjoyment I had during the fight, and the overall memories I have made fighting the boss. I've beat the game well over 15 times or so over the past months, and some bosses just stand out above all the rest. Also, let me know what your favorite bosses are in the comment section below. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to give it a like and share it with a friend, and subscribe if you're new. With that being said, let's go ahead and get into it. At number 5, we have the boss from Earthul, the Burial Valley, Pontiff Sulyvahn. Now, as I first walked into this arena as my very first fight with Pontiff Sulyvahn, I loved the look of the boss immediately. The dual blades with the pyromancy and the magic with the music in the background, it was a great intense start. Another factor weighing in on my decision of the top 5 bosses in Dark Souls 3 is the difficulty I had soloing it, and the major reason for that is if you guys have been like I have playing back from Demon Souls all the way to Dark Souls 3, it seems to keep getting easier the longer you play the game series because all you have to do is learn the AI patterns of the boss and just figure out a way to strike. It's about patience and timing and when to strike and stuff, and I really like that about the game if it gave me a challenge. Maybe not during the fight because I keep getting angrier at it, but in the end, if it gave me a challenge, I like that more about the boss. Pontiff Sulyvahn by no means is one of the absolute hardest bosses in the game, but it did give me a challenge. But once I saw that the clone does the exact same thing Pontiff Sulyvahn's gonna do, I learned how to predict his attacks, and then after that, it became a pretty easy fight. So with all that being said, and then the look of Pontiff Sulyvahn as his wings grow out in his second phase, it is one of my favorite bosses in Dark Souls 3. I had such a fun time fighting him. At number 4, we have the boss fight of the Grand Archives, Lorien and Lothric, the Twin Princes. The first thing that I have to acknowledge about this boss fight is the way they built it up and led you to it. You're in the Grand Archives, you go throughout the level, and then you make it to the end, and you gotta cross this bridge where an army is waiting for you, guarding this boss fight. As I was walking across the bridge, just running past the enemies because I didn't want to take the time to kill all of them, I couldn't wait to see what was behind those 2 doors, to see what boss I was about to face. You knew immediately you were near the boss fight. As I entered the boss room and the cutscene triggered, this is probably one of the most memorable boss cutscenes that I had in the game. I don't know exactly what about it, the eerie feeling between the tension of his brothers, it made me want to go and learn about the story behind them and the lore of it. But then I got into the boss, and I had no idea what I was waiting for because I don't like spoiling the game ahead of time, so I haven't watched any videos on it. And then all of a sudden the brother is teleporting from place to place, and then I really didn't know where to look or what to expect, and honestly this was probably one of the more difficult bosses on my very first playthrough to solo. I just love how the boss just keeps you on your toes and he's kind of crawling around the arena. It really adds to the fight. Once I caught on to his movestyle, the boss really wasn't that difficult, but his second form was actually even easier for me. This boss fight for me was just really fun, and it was a great ending right before the final boss of the game. This was one of the bosses that I actually had to go look up the lore to, so that's one reason it is on this list. It made me want to know more, like why the brother is like that, why one's crawling around, what is the backstory between these 2 princes. This boss fight just made a big impact on me and made me want to learn more about it. That is why it's on this list, and also, as you can tell, I found it very fun to fight. Okay, so there is one major factor why this boss is on this list, and that's because in past Souls games, I believe they did not do the final bosses justice at all. Now, Lord Gwyn from Dark Souls 1, I really did enjoy that fight. That one was good, but for Demon Souls and Dark Souls 2, I did not like at all. Demon Souls, I can't even consider a boss, so I just assume King Lot is actually the final boss. If you've played Demon Souls, you know what I'm talking about. He literally literally just stands there and you hit him. I can't consider that a final boss. And for Dark Souls 2, it built it up so good. You go to the Throne of Want, you talk to the Emerald Herald, and I couldn't wait to see what the final boss was. And yeah, it's pretty cool that it's the Queen, but the boss fight itself was not fun to me. It was super easy, and it just didn't make any impact on me. So going into Dark Souls 3, I was a little worried to see what they would do with the final boss, but I believe they did it magnificently. This is one of, if not my favorite final boss from any Souls game, including Bloodborne. First off, it's the guy that's been in the Firelink Shrine the entire journey you've been going on, giving you boss weapons and such, and then the giant arena, the beautiful scenery of the boss fight was fantastic, and then his two phases were absolutely amazing and so much fun to fight. I just absolutely love how the Soul of Cinder is the manifestation of every person that is linked to fire and uses different combat systems based off that. Like he uses Wrath of the Gods and Homing Crystal Soul Mass and Crystal Soul Spear, and then uses different weapons like spears and straight swords and stuff like that. I love how it combines and brings everything into one final fight. And then to make it even greater, his second phase, he relies back on Lord Gwyn's moveset back from Dark Souls 1, the first Lord of Cinder. Having his giant flame sword, his amazing moveset, casting lightning spears at you, it is the perfect way to end any Souls game in my opinion. As for the difficulty of the boss, it was not insanely hard to me. It was not easy by no means. It just did not take me several times, maybe 3 tries or so. But that should not take away anything from this boss. I think it's one of the best bosses in the game. This is just one of my favorite boss fights from any game that I've ever played my entire life. And it's everything that I would expect coming from a perfect ending to a Souls game. Now, I don't know how many of you were expecting the Dancer to be on this list, much less be at number 2 on this spot, but this is without a doubt one of my favorite bosses from the entire Souls series. There is just something about this boss that I am completely drawn to. The overall atmosphere of this boss, the cutscene, the music, the way she walks around the room, the footsteps that echo in the room that brings up the intensity. I love this fight. Now, just in case you don't know what I mean by the footsteps echoing in the room, I'm gonna cut real quick and let the sound come up so you guys can listen. I think it just adds so much more to this fight. I mean, every detail matters. Now that might not mean as much to you, but like I said, every detail matters. As I entered this boss fight, I was already captivated by the cutscene, the eerie feeling, the tension in the room, and then as soon as she started walking towards me and I heard the echo of her footstep and the breathing, oh my gosh, I got chills down my back. Even the way that she's bent over and she creeps up on you like a predator, I love that about her. And then, yet again, we have the dual blades that I really like. Kind of like Pontiff Sullivan, but they are in the opposite hand. It has to do a little bit with the lore. I'm pretty sure Pontiff Sullivan made her into a dancer. She was like one of the daughters of the Irithel family, and then Pontiff Sullivan made her a dancer. That's why she wields blades like him, but in opposite hands. She mirrors him. So as you can tell, I really love the look of the boss, the atmosphere of the arena, and then it's one of the best soundtracks in the game in my opinion. The boss fight itself is not very difficult, it is very fun though, and it can actually be the very first boss you fight in the game if you kill the woman in the room. The Dancer of the Burial Valley is just one of the best bosses in this game in my opinion, but there is still one more that beats it. Before we go any further, I would like to give some honorable mentions to bosses that did not make this list that I still really enjoyed. Osiros, the Consumed King, I'm not really sure if I'm saying that right. I really liked how creepy and eerie it was and the lore behind it. Abyss Watchers, fun but super easy boss fight. Aldrich, throwback to Anor Londo, was a blast to fight but very difficult for me. And then Gundyr, both first form and his champion form. I thought that was probably the best intro boss fight to any Souls game, and I loved his second boss fight as well. But now, let's go ahead and take a look at number 1. Now, first things first, I don't want this to seem like I'm jumping on any bandwagons. I don't know if anybody else has done a top 5 favorite bosses. I do know this is considered the hardest boss in Dark Souls 3, and I agree with that, but my number one of my favorite bosses in Dark Souls 3 is the Nameless King. I honestly don't know where to begin. First off, that very first cutscene that I actually showed in the video just hyped up this battle so much. Once you see the arena, the wind coming in, oh my god, I could not wait to go in and fight this guy. And then as I entered this amazing battlefield, I see this guy riding in on a dragon or a bird with a giant spear in his hand. I could not wait to see what was waiting for me. The look of this boss, the scenery of this boss, the music of this boss, everything is a 10 out of 10 for me. Now that all that settled, that I give it a 10 out of 10 out of all those things, then we go on to fighting this guy. And oh my god, this guy took forever for me to do. I didn't even do it solo my first time, and it took me more than one try. Me and my friend were playing it, and it still took us a good probably 4 or 5 tries. Like, it was a very difficult boss for me my first time. While preparing for this video, I needed gameplay of the boss, and it took me 3 tries to beat it this time, still 3 months later on New Game Plus Plus. This is just an overall amazing fight that takes patience and timing, and one wrong mess up you can easily get one-shotted if it's your first playthrough. I don't know if you guys agree with me at this being the best boss in the game, but I hope you guys did enjoy the boss fight as much as I did. Just the cutscenes, the fighting, everything about this boss was truly incredible. But that is pretty much it, guys. If you did enjoy the video, be sure to smack that like button. Hope you guys did enjoy another top 5 Dark Souls video by me. Also, let me know in the comment section below what your favorite bosses is on this game and why. Also, you can let me know what other top 5s you would like me to do. I still plan on doing top 5 best quality weapons, maybe best looking armors to me, and then maybe going back to like Dark Souls 2 and Dark Souls 1 and even Demon Souls and doing some top 5s for them. Be sure to follow me on all social medias at UnitedGamer101 on Twitter, Snapchat, Instagram, all that fun stuff. But as always, guys, hope you did enjoy, and I hope to see you in another Dark Souls 3 video. I'm out.